Well, let's now cross live to Dallas, Texas, in the United States of America, and speak with global affairs analyst and an active member of the Republican Party. Of course, Donald Trump is their nominee. Okpa, glad to have you join us on Daybreak this morning here in Nigeria.
1 a.m. Dallas time, but that's fine.
All right. Kamala Harris says Donald Trump, your candidate, is unhinged, unfit to serve, dangerous to democracy. The same thing that the president, Joe Biden, is saying. What's your sense of this?
Well, what is my sense of that? I don't want to use the word that comes to mind, but look, the American people have a choice to make, and that choice is it's already started. Early voting has started in Texas. I have already voted, and then we wait for November 5th to count the vote and see who becomes the president. So, look, America is not a democracy. If you look at our constitution, the word democracy was never used. America is a republic. We just happen to have a democratic way to elect the people we have elected or we're going to elect. And and then, fortunately for us, it's not a majority. America is the only country where majority vote does not produce the president. So, the Democrats can win the majority vote, but then we go to electoral college, and whoever wins the majority of the electoral college becomes the president. So, I mean, this is campaign time. They have to say what they have to say. Joe Biden saying the world leaders. America don't give a damn. We don't elect our president based on what the world leaders think. It's what the Americans do and what Americans think that matters. So coming and telling us that people pull him aside, and that's nonsense. It's a scare thing that they say, but we don't pay attention. We don't pay attention. And when we elect our president, the world leaders, they have a choice. You deal with him or her, America moves on. So that's just what it is. Kamala Harris, when she ran on her own, before Joe Biden made her vice president. She didn't even win a delegate. The Democratic Party rejected her. And then when she became vice president, she became the vice president with the lowest approval rate. So how is she going to win? The
All
woman
right.
can't even.
All right, Mr. Okpa, if you can hear me, let's just move on a little bit. This year, we're seeing more Republicans casting their ballots early. You said you've already cast yours. Now, with early voting already in full swing, polls showing sort of a tight race between Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, especially in battleground states. How do you see Republican efforts at galvanizing more voter turnout in these critical regions playing out in the next 2 weeks? We just heard Donald Trump saying, look, we need to make this too big to rig. How do you see that effort of Republicans galvanizing votes?
Well, I mean, the campaign didn't start today or yesterday. The Republicans know what is at stake. Everybody knows what is at stake. So those who want to fulfill that, inalienable right of voting are going to vote. And so that's what it is. This is one, everybody's entitled or equalized by one vote. And so they're going to cast it. We don't know. Some people say, oh, the Republicans, are some Republicans voted for Democrats, and vice versa. That has always been the case. I've been a citizen since 1995. I've always voted. I'm a Republican by nature. I didn't come to America to become a Republican. I was one before I came here. And the reason is just because of the difference between the two parties. So, again, it's a very a nervous situation because, hey, if it goes the way of Kamala Harris, we know what we're going to get. If it goes the way of Trump, it becomes the second missionary journey. He will be the second president in the history of America to have one non-consecutive terms, which is good. Had he won the first time, he's won second term the first time. Second term would have been more like a lame duck. But now He's taken 4 years break, and since he wasn't president for 4 years, he was in the news. He's even got more media time than the president Joe Biden. So if he makes it the second term, then that becomes another historic moment for him. So again, everybody's cautiously nervous, and we don't know, but so far so good. He feels good. He speaks good. It's all about the policy. They can say anything they want in the campaign until you sit down behind that chair in the Oval Office.
Indeed. Mr. Okpa, I'm glad you've brought up the campaign because so far the world has been watching, and this has been one campaign like no other. We've seen conversations about sexism, we've seen conversations about voter suppression, we've seen conversations about would Donald Trump accept the results of this election. But let me ask you, as a Republican and someone who's watching the process right there, what has stood out the most for you in this particular round of campaign, 14 days to the election?
What stood out for me was just the way Trump has handled himself. He's the only American, whether a Democrat or Republican, that is able to stand up to all the stuff. They've tried to indict him. They indicted him. They tried him. They've done all kinds of stuff. They tried to kill him. I mean, I met him. When he was president, I went to the White House 3 times. If Trump had won the second term, I would have been nominated as an ambassador. My name was already on the list. I'm not supporting him because of that. I love the fact that he's able to stand up. He's the only American who's gone to an executive office of his president. I mean, his company to the executive office of the president. Even established politicians don't like it. People in the Republican Party don't like it. Because, these American politicians like this, do this first before you do that. Trump has defied all of it. When the last time I saw him, I said, Mr. President, you are one person that behaves like a freshly poured concrete. You get stronger every second. That's the kind of person I like, man or woman, it doesn't matter. You have to stand up for what you believe in. And if your life is threatened, the state doesn't discourage you. I mean, look at him when he was shot. He didn't duck. He raised his hand and said, fight, fight, fight. How many people can do that? This is a billionaire, whether people like it or not. He's a billionaire. I'm in real estate. I've seen what he has built. What did Joe Biden build? What is Kamala Harris built? What has Obama built? What has Clinton built? These are traditional politicians who have gotten rich based on the taxpayers. But this man has made money. He has created jobs. He has people employed. So for me, that is what is standing out, not all these other things people talk about. Like I said, I grew up in Nigeria, born and raised in Enugu. My father was a chief in the Eastern Nigeria.
Educate very quickly before we let you go. You say he has conducted himself very well. Kamala talks about the fact that he has refused to answer whether if he loses, what he will do. Will he accept it? And then secondly, Trump has refused to agree that he lost the election last time out.
Whether we agree or not, that's not what the point is. Whether Trump believes that he was the last time, what we know is that Joe Biden is president number 46. Is he going to, refuse defeat if he loses again? That's up in the air. I don't think America is not a country where a bunch of people is going to show up with gun and take everybody out. No, so all the Democrats are doing that is to use fear to make those people who are undecided or borderline, sitting on the fence. Okay, we're not going to support Trump because Trump is not going to do that. Trump did what he's supposed to do. Remember, they tried to indict him for insurrection. But they couldn't. And if you look at all the indictment, the word insurrection wasn't done. He did he did that while he was in office. January 6th, he was still president. So all these other things they say again, remember this is a game. The American political election process, if you look into the history, has never been easy. They have said things against each other about this, about that. But once that president-elect is sworn in and becomes president, everybody goes away. And then we live to fight another one. And that's what we are doing now. Hopefully, November 5th, we'll see what the Americans. I've always believed in the Americans. They may, keep quiet, don't say things, but when time comes, when it comes to the time to do the thing, they've always made a choice. So
Oh,
that's again, I'm nervously cautious, and
yeah.
I just can't wait to see what happens come November 5th.
Great. Just before we let you go, very quickly, I have to put this question to you as a Nigerian who was born and bred here, like you said. I want to know what motivated you to align with the Republican Party, especially considering their policies on immigration and foreign relations that could potentially affect Nigerian immigrants should Trump win this election.
Well, again, Trump is the president that said you don't have to die to come to America. I was denied visa 2 times before I got it the third time. And my dad again said, I don't want you to go to anybody's country without you having the proper papers. So I came to America as a legal immigrant. What we're saying is illegal immigration, not against immigration, because we are an immigrant nation. And so when I came again, we probably don't know this, I am the first and the only Nigerian to have ever run for mayor of a major city in America. And I did it in less than 8 years of becoming a citizen. I became a citizen in 1995, and I ran for mayor of Dallas in 2003. No immigrant of African descent has ever run for mayor of a major city. So immigration, Nigerians, are not the target. No nation is the target. America say, come through the front door. If you come through the front door as an immigrant to this country, then you are availed all the opportunities. But when you break into somebody's home, let any one of us take America as a home. Nobody welcomes anybody who breaks into their home. Don't break into America. Come to America legally. The challenges of your country is not the reason. Remember, immigration is not a right, it's a privilege. So respect other people's home. If there are challenges in your country, deal with it, or then go to your neighbor. If that is the next country you want to go to, say, hey, can I come in through the front door? I am a strong proponent. I grew up in Nigeria, and the reason I like the Republican Party is it's about less government, it's individual responsibility. What you see in the Democratic Party is like what you see in Nigeria. The government try to do too much, and they do very little.
Ejike, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for being on Daybreak this morning. Ejike Okpa from Texas, a Republican, a global affairs analyst, discussing the U.S. elections that's just about 2 weeks away. We'll watch and see what gives in that election.